Hello and welcome back to Factorio Tightening the Belt Megabase Guide. I'm Xterminator and thank you for joining me. So we are back in the base here and I created a red belt lane here for this copper smelter. This one here is now red belt all the way up, and I made the... I thought that train was stuck. I made the balancer all red belt as well. Now we are having some iron problems, some major iron problems, because this outpost is pretty much dead. The miners are just not keeping up nearly as much as they should be. There's hardly any in these chests, so we are having an iron shortage, which is then creating a circuit shortage as well as several other shortages, so that definitely needs to be fixed. I was considering working on that today. My plan is there's actually another iron patch over here, is to just run, is to what to do is to just take this line and run it down there and then just have this train make 2 stops essentially. So it stops here first for like, I don't know, like 20 seconds or something, fills what it can, and then goes to the next one to fill the rest of the way. But I have shown train work and outpost work a fair bit, and it's not that entertaining. So I think what we're going to work on today, while that outpost just dies, I think what we're going to work on today is some designs for the Megabase smelter. So I'm going to get some blue belt because that's what we will need. I have not done blue splitters because I don't have red circuits. Of course I don't. Well, let's give them some. They take like 10 though, so that's not really going to give me hardly any splitters whatsoever. But I'll take what I can get. And then we'll need some furnaces, beacons as well. We'll need at least 1 or 2 just for like spacing purposes. So I'm just going to take a couple here. And like I said, I wanted to do this live so you guys can kind of see, you know, what goes into it and stuff. That is probably way more furnaces than I need. But yeah, so it's going to be some reiterations of things. There's just going to be, changing things on the fly and stuff as we try to figure out what's going to work and what's not. Like I said, some of you may not enjoy this, but I'm hoping it will help some other people. So first off, though, I do want to show, someone sent me a lab setup that is interesting for beacons. It's an alternative to what I'm using. I'm not going to use it because I don't feel like tearing up my labs again. But this is kind of an interesting design. I'm going to try to hover over here. I mean, it's actually probably better just look. So this is really interesting. It uses belt weaving is what we call it here. Very, very nicely, where you have the 2 different levels of belt that can be within the same plane. And it actually is a bit of a loop of packs, which is okay-ish. Personally, I would not use this because it does save on beacons. That is one main advantage, because there's just a row of beacons in the middle instead of using double rows here. However, it's very expensive with the underground belts. This is a lot of underground red and yellow belts here, and to do this. Probably that's cheaper than the extra row of beacons, in all honesty. So really, this is a good alternative for sure. I just wanted to show this off because, people were talking about some other lab designs and such. So that's pretty cool. But let's go ahead, and I want to get rid of some stuff. I don't want all this rail. Not logistics network, but we'll put it in here anyways. And let's just clear some space. This seems like a decent area to work on stuff. Okay, so to beacon, I'm trying to remember the ratios. I don't exactly, because once you throw in modules and beacons, the ratios for compressing a belt are like completely changed. I want to say that fully level 3 productivity module, electric furnaces, and fully speed beaconed is, I want to say 9 or 7.5 furnaces a piece. We can fairly easily-ish calculate this, which is one thing I want to show you. So if we put one there, I like to just do a row. We're just doing this to get the speed of them. And of course, I end up needing more beacons. So, well, pretty much, I already know the speed of this, so we don't actually need to build it. The speed of what we call an 8-8 beacon, where it's like this. It's staggered like rows like this, where it gets affected by 8 beacons. 8-8 beacon furnace with 2 productivity 3 modules in it, smelts at a speed of 9.4. This crafting speed down there is going to be 9.4. Now you can do what they would call like a 12 beacon design, where you just build a square around it. As of my latest testing, which I did with Zuri, now this was about a year ago, but beacons and modules haven't really changed since then. It is actually more energy and space efficient in the end, I believe, to do 8.8 beacon than to do the 12 beacon. You do get, it's less entities to do 12 beacons, so that is an advantage because each thing's faster, right? So you're not having to do as many furnaces. So it's really just a personal preference. I've never had much luck getting designs with 12 beacons to actually like look decent or like route things how I want them. But anyway, so if this is going to be 9.4 speed, just imagine that this is 9.4 speed, right? So what we can do a calculation here, figure out essentially how many plates we're going to be getting out of one of these. And I'm just trying to collect my thoughts here on these calculations. I hadn't actually planned on doing this episode, but we'll do them anyway. So what we want to do is we want to take the amount of things that we get per output, right? Which is going to be 1. We get 1 iron plate per cycle of this, right? So we take 1, and I'm going to go into the console here. So we take 1, and then we divide that by the crafting speed of the item, not of the furnace, of the item. So in this case, it's 3.5 for iron or copper. It takes 3.5 seconds, okay? So we divide that by 3.5, and then we multiply this by the craft speed of the machine, and then we multiply that by the productivity amount, which is going to be 1.2, right? Because it's 20% productivity on top of the just normal 100% craft. So 1.2. Okay, so that's how, and this works for assemblers, this works for refineries, this works for obviously furnaces, to figure out how many things you're going to be getting. And this is a per second rate. So if you want a per minute rate, you're going to have to multiply the end result here by 60. But if we do that, so if I just put this into a calculator, 1 divided by 3.5, considering I actually wrote this out correctly, times 9.4 times 1.2, we are getting 3.22 and a bunch of other numbers, but we're around 3.22 iron plate or copper per second. So we are getting 3.22 items per second out of one of these furnaces. And the reason this is important is because now we can actually figure out how many are going to compress a blue belt, because we know the speed of a blue belt, right, which is 40 items a second, both lanes, so 20 per lane. So a blue belt can move 40 items a second. Okay, so if we're getting 3.22, then we do 40 divided by 3.22, so it's actually 12. I was close, right? I said 9. 12.4, which is, not great, because you can't do a 0.4 of a furnace. So in these type of situations, what you want to do is you always want to round up. So it would be like 13 furnaces. And this is going to be for a full blue belt. This is not per lane. This is for one entire blue belt of output is going to be 13 furnaces. Okay? So we need furnaces equals 13, right? So we need 13 furnaces for an entire blue belt, which again is awkward because for each side to compress each lane, you would need 6.5, which again you can't really do. So again, we're in a very awkward situation where you're going to have one furnace like output to both lanes, like alternating, or you're going to need to just overbuild it to do 14, so you can do 7 per side, and then some of them just won't work fully, or round down and do 6. But again, I would highly recommend rounding up in these situations, because if you need 12.4 to get a blue belt, if you just do 12, you're never going to have a full blue belt of stuff. It's not going to be fully compressed with that. So there are ways where we could have a furnace outputting alternating. It's kind of wonky. I've played with it before, and I have not really found a decent way to get it to work. So I'm going to go the easy route, and I'm going to round up. I'm just going to do 14, because that means we need 7 per side. And some of them just won't work all the time, and really the only disadvantage to this is it's just a bit more entities. But it's not like we're building like a 5K science pack a minute base with this. So it should be fine. So 14 is essentially what we need. Okay, so now that we know that, now that we know we need 14 furnaces to get a full blue belt, we can start playing around with some designs. Okay, so if we do want them, I think, like this. And again, this is just on the fly, doing this together. So we're gonna want some outputs here. I'm trying to think about how we would want to do this, because beacon-wise, let's go get some more beacons, because we will actually need to lay this out. No, I could ghost them. Now, then my idiot bots are gonna place them. I could turn them off, but it's probably better to just do it with actual entities here. All right, let's beacons. Beacons are down here. Let's grab some beacons. All right, come on, bots. Take all the stuff. Let's go. All right, so there's a few ways we can make this work. There's actually a lot of ways we can make this work. And some of it comes down to just how you want your design to look and to work. Some of it comes down to efficiency. So for compactness, I would ideally like to have them just butted up against each other like this. Plus, because if you start spacing them out, it kind of throws off the beacons. Like you got to do a different arrangement to get that 8/8 coverage. Because if we do this, so let's just throw down 14 furnaces. So there's 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Considering I actually can count. 3, 6, 9, 12. I did an extra one. Okay, so that's going to be a blue belt right there. So again, to get our full beacon coverage here, well, it would help if I could place in a straight line. We probably don't have enough beacons for this, of course. Of course we don't. I'm going to turn my bots off because I want to actually ghost place this. I'm going to hold shift, and this will still place them in the correct place. So now we kind of know where that's going to go. Okay, now the trick here though is we need ore input as well as plate output. And this, you may initially think this is like a waste of beacons, but this is gonna, I mean, this is not all our smelting. So the next row would just be up here. So each row of beacons is going to hit 2 rows of furnaces like that. Now again, we may end up tearing this up completely depending how I can get this to work. Because what we could do, so if we have, trying to think, so if we do ore, if we have ore coming in, okay, we need to change this. So, and this is the process. I mean, this is what you get. You don't just, I mean, personally, I don't just look at, I don't just like instantly come up with a design instantaneously that's going to work. So this is part of the process, which is why I think it's important to show you. So if we have ore here, there's, you know, we run into this problem then where we're going to run into this problem essentially where you can't output then on this side because, I mean, the entire space is taken. So we can't really do that. However, you can't, we have this entire other side. So, because here's the thing, if 14 of these are going to give us, they're going to give us more, but for simplicity, we're going to say it's give us a full blue belt. Okay, but that is factoring in productivity, which gives us extra. So theoretically then, a blue belt of ore should just be able to, one blue belt should just be able to support all of these ore-wise, right? Because we're actually getting more on the output side than we're taking on the input side since we have productivity in these. So with that in mind, we actually then could just, I mean, we could just do this fairly simply and just run the belt just straight down. Now, the issue we're going to run into is getting the ore on both sides of the belt on the other side, because, you know, we can't just, these are going the wrong direction. You know, we can't just have them all place because they're all going to place on the outside, you know, due to how inserters work. And again, this is just before people start freaking out, I keep mentioning it because I don't want you guys to think this is final. This is me just playing with ideas. You know, honestly, I doubt this is how it's actually going to end up. But, so if we do that, so this is our input. This is our ore line over here. And just to mark that, let's take Combinator. And again, just throw some ore in here so you guys can tell. So this is our ore input. Now, these are going to then export. This is going to be on that side of the belt, you know, which obviously is not really optimal, you know, for all of them because we got to switch it. So we want, that's 2, 4, 6, 7. So these 7 are going to go here. Now, the issue is there's not actually room to do this. What we can do though is do a similar thing to how we did the furnaces, if I have any left, which I don't think I do. Yeah, like this. Is we can maybe kind of try to do something like that, where we have like this kind of curve in and stuff, maybe. Although looking at this, I feel like, yeah, no, we can do that, right? So if we do this, this is where it gets a little bit wonky. May not be possible. We're going to have to switch up our inserters here a little bit. I wanted them to match, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be possible. Because what we have to do, essentially, at this point is, because this guy has to turn, and this is the soonest he could turn at this inserters right here. But then this can run underneath, and then we can still output on the other belt, and then just split or combine them at the end. Again, with compression, issues fixed now, you don't have to do that for compression, but we still may want to do that just to combine the two separate lanes, and that's still entirely viable. It's an extra splitter, but I mean, really, it's not that big of a deal. So we could move this if we want the rest of these to match, and this is where this just comes down to like how finicky you are, or how finicky I am in this case, with how I want this to look. You know, is it like, you know, do I want this to, well, actually, I mean, those are going to line up, but if we want this to just like look the same on a per side basis, doing that may be better. I don't know what looks better. I mean, you know, again, it's personal preference. But so if we do this then, right, that's going to be fine, because then this guy, and we'll just match this. This is going to come over here. And this is gonna, you know, just wherever you can find room. You could do it here, but I would prefer to use as much of the length of this as we can. So we can't go, actually we can go this far. Could we have gone an extra one here? No. So this guy's gonna go here, and then this will just go like underground or whatever. And then this one is just going to output here, and then these would just combine at the end, and this should give us an entire blue belt. And again, like this last one, and then, well, 12 point, so really this last one isn't even needed. It's just never going to work, right? Because didn't we say we needed 12.4 furnaces total? Yeah, we need 12.4, so this one isn't, like, literally isn't actually going to work. So that's a little bit silly. Okay, if we took this out, that's going to be... Okay, this may not work, and I'm also considering another issue. Is this particular way won't actually work because both these are going to be on the outside lane. Because even though we're running this like this, it's still the outside lane. So it's just going to try to combine into like two outside lanes, if that makes sense. So... we really do only need the 13. I know there's a way to make this work. And this is where it gets down to like, how do we want to do this? And actually, so if, actually, hold up. I'm being dumb. I'm being really stupid. You know, sometimes you just gotta look at it for a second and just be like, wait, does this actually make sense? And it doesn't. So what we need to do is this needs to move, and great. It's not at all what I wanted. Because what we can do is we can actually just side load. And the problem is this inserter's in the way though. So if we want to do that, we're gonna have to move these inserters again. And I don't... really see a great way to do that. I mean, well, maybe. So they're not going to line up with those. We could move those because those don't really matter what place they're in. So we're going to end up with like one of them like really weird. But that may actually work out better because the knees are going to go here. Okay, so that will work then. Okay, so because side loading compresses now, right? So this is perfect because this is going to be an outside lane, but we're just side loading it on the correct side. Now the issue with this is this 13th is gonna, it's not really, it's gonna be wonky because we have our 12th. So, okay, so we're okay there. Now, actually, hold on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this one's, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what's gonna end up happening is that this one isn't gonna work fully, and then this isn't actually gonna create a full lane on that top side. So what needs to happen is that it needs to like, one of them somehow needs to insert onto both sides. And that's where things start getting complicated. So if this is, dang it. Okay, hold on. So we need to do 6 and have like the end one insert onto both. Or we could have the first one actually. It really doesn't matter. So 2, 4, 6. Okay, let's tear all this up. Okay, so that's 6, and then we want these 6 to be on the other side. Okay, so this one is gonna come here. All right, so that's 6 and that's 6, and then this one, this guy here needs to insert somehow onto both sides, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because one, like we could just do this, right? And this would be maybe someone's initial thought, okay? Yeah, so he's inserting on that end and he's inserting on the close end. The problem is, to my knowledge, I've never been able to find a way. You can't get inserters to export from a machine, like 2 inserters from the same machine to export evenly, okay? I've never been able to find a way to do it because what's gonna happen is one of these, let's just say for example this one, is gonna be exporting 90% of the time. It's just gonna be grabbing it first. And then this one's only going to do like 10%. And then you still end up with something not even. Okay? So that's where you end up with a problem, is because, and you can't, like, you can wire them together and do some circuits to have them swing at the same time. But it's still going to be weird because, I mean, they're not always going to both have something to grab. So that's the problem with doing something like this. And really the problem with somehow just trying to get this. What we need is just one export and then have it somehow evenly combine onto both sides. And I mean, there are ways to do that. Like, so off the top of my head, this is not something you would want to do because it looks terrible. But if we just do like this, so this guy is gonna export on that far side. Again, this is not an example of what it's gonna be like because this is an absolutely terrible way to do it. But just to show you that of what I'm trying to accomplish is just a separate output for this, and then he would just essentially like merge. So then, you know, whatever, this would come over here and just merge like that. Again, don't do this. But that's what I'm trying to accomplish, is we just have a separate output, and then, so not doing 2 inserters on this for the reason I mentioned, but just have one inserter on its own output that then merges on to both sides of the belt. And that's where we have to kind of determine a decent way to do that, which is clearly not this way. So I would love thoughts on that, because that's I'm gonna have to be a little bit creative there, but that's pretty much what this would look like. So that's gonna be one full blue belt, and you can see the power of beacons and modules. So take this and compare it to, well, actually we have a blueprint, no need to look. Take that and compare it to this. About the same size. This one's longer, the stone one is longer, that one's wider because of the beacons. Overall, about the same size. This is only going to get us a red belt with steel furnaces and red belt, and this thing is going to get us a full blue belt. To make this a full blue belt, we would have to extend this out a fair bit. It would require like 35 furnaces on each side. And you have to consider the fact that this may seem like about the same size as one build, but you have to consider the fact that each row of these beacons is also hitting a whole nother row of furnaces. So it's not like you're doing this whole thing again underneath, because you're not placing another row of beacons right next to this. So it's like even better. But that's pretty much, and honestly, this is looking pretty decent aside from this last one, figuring out how to do that. But the full line of ore should work. Now that side loading, side merging, whatever you call it, works, this should be totally fine. And then we just have to get this guy to insert onto both sides of the belt decently. And we should be in pretty good shape. I mean, really, hold up. I just had an idea. Something that's probably still not going to look very good, but we'll do it anyway. Actually, no, that won't work, I don't think. What we could do, again, don't insert onto a splitter. Not that we can here anyways, but yeah, because these beacons are in the way. I was going to say you could just like come up around, but you're still going to have this problem. Yeah, we'll have to figure out a decent way to do that. But I think this is going to do it, guys. 26 minutes. I hope that kind of helped you and just showed you a bit of the design process. It may have been painful for some of you. If it is, then, well, you didn't have to watch. Yeah, this is what happens. You know, nobody that I know of just instantly comes up with a design, and this is kind of the process of what goes into it. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions with this, or if I made like huge mistakes, I don't think I did, then let me know. Obviously, we need power poles. That doesn't count as a mistake. Those will be added in, or substations somehow. But that'll do it, guys. If you have any thoughts on a decent way to get this one just a singular output and then combine on the one line, definitely let me know. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Leave any thoughts and such down below. But until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.